The very idea, the senator from Florida wants to put Social Security and Medicare in the chopping block every 5 years, I find to be somewhat outrageous. So outrageous that you might not even believe it. But it's what he said. I won't do it again, but I will. 12-point American Rescue Plan. If a state expands Medicaid, not Medicare, Medicaid for the poor, so low-income folks can get health care, the federal government picks up 90% of the cost. That's the deal, 90%. Well, guess what? State only pays 10%. It's a great deal. 39 states said, yeah, send it to us. Only in 11 states, including Florida, said, no, we don't want Medicaid. No, I'm serious. Over 1.1 million people in Florida would be eligible for Medicaid if Governor DeSantis just said, I agree to expand it. It's not, this isn't calculus. The only reason Medicare expansion hasn't happened here is politics. It's time to get this done.
We could go a little bit more fire, but still, the president is now speaking again, yet another day. This time, he's speaking in Florida, in the home state of both Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis, calling out more names about their plans for Social Security and Medicare, especially after the State of the Union address, when they all booed and said, how dare you? I think they finally found an angle, at least from the Democratic White House point of view, to go on and on and on to make sure people know the reality of this entire situation. So every time these Republicans repeat the lie that they had nothing to do with this, what are they talking about? They should hit them one more time. Kind of like the way we see here. He mentioned Ron DeSantis. What was Ron DeSantis saying about Medicare and all that? Watch.
Cut revenue, cut spending, and the big Pac-Man in the budget are Social Security and Medicare. What do you propose to do with those, sir?
What I think we need to do for people in my generation particularly is start to restructure the program in a way that's going to be financially sustainable, both Social Security and Medicare. And I would want me kind of as a younger guy, to know that, okay, you're going to have, Medicare, but then I should have to also provide for myself in certain respects. And if I want kind of a really grand policy, then I should be contributing to that and over and above, what Medicare has. So I would embrace proposals, like Paul Ryan offered and other people have offered that are going to, provide some market forces in there, more consumer choice. Social Security, I would do the same thing. Social Security is actually not as bad as Medicare.
Still will do the same with all of it. Social Security, Medicare, we have to privatize it. He was jumping on the Paul Ryan plan as well, which was to privatize all those programs. This is back in 2012, of course, when he's launching, his upcoming career. He was speaking to a newspaper down there in Florida. They went after even Ron DeSantis, the heir apparent to the Republican Party. They weren't done yet. This is a class in how to go about this. They also responded, the White House did, on Twitter to a Fox News tweet that is still saying the White House triples down on Biden's false claim, is what they said. The Republicans want to cut Social Security and Medicare. So of course, they point out there's this guy, I think he has an R next to his name. His name is Ron Johnson, and he's speaking literally as of yesterday about the things he still thinks about Social Security and Medicare. Yes, they played this too. Watch.
That's why what I've talked about, from the first time around in 2010, I just laid out the reality of Social Security. It's a legal Ponzi scheme. It is. I mean, it's a pay-as-you-go system.
And that was like, privatizing Social Security. That was like the worst thing in the world. Well, had we done it back then, Social Security might be in a more stable position for younger workers.
They keep saying it. They were just booing, jeering, and looking appalled during the State of the Union. One more piece here, Miranda, because I mentioned how Fox News had that tweet. This is a chyron that they're still running. Aaron Rupar over on Twitter pointed out they're still running things like this. This is after even Ron Johnson was talking. He says Biden repeats debunked claim on Republican Medicare plan. Oh, there's a Republican that has something to say about this, but that's so much more juicy. I'd like to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, it amazes me how Fox News can get away with absolutely blatantly lying to their viewers, most of whom use Medicaid and Social Security, and can not only lie to them, but convince them that it's a good thing to have that taken away from them. And it's incredibly frustrating to me that people who watch Fox News and the like, they're letting these corrupt, greedy politicians not only take it away from them and rob them blind, but convince them that it's a good thing and that that's something that they need to advocate for their own money being taken out of their pockets. And it is really nice to see a repeated sort of verbal offense, if you will, from Biden and from, the White House account on Twitter against it. Call it, because you're right, they're just not called out. Democrats are so quiet and meek and they tend to whisper from the shadows. And it's nice to see, no, this is the reality. This is what's happening. And here I'm going to give you the facts, whether you want them or not.
I guess the likes of like Fox News assume that their viewers will only watch them, and then so they can say it's been debunked. They can say he continues to triple down and claim these types of things. But can they deny? Maybe they can. Can they deny the leader in the Senate, the minority leader, Mitch McConnell? Because he was also asked about this, and he has something to protect his own ass. And as this goes along as a Republican talking point in the line of what they're about, because there's plenty of them that have said so, he wants to point out, he's also naming names. He wants to point out, it ain't me, bro, it's this guy. Watch this.
Well, unfortunately, that was the Scott plan. That's not a Republican plan. That was the Rick Scott plan. The Republican plan, as I pointed out last fall, if we were to become the majority, there were no plans to raise taxes on happy American people or to sunset Medicare or Social Security. So it's clearly the Rick Scott plan. It is not the Republican plan. And that's the view of the Speaker of the House as well. I think we're in a more authoritative position to state what the position of the party is than any single senator.
So Rick Scott's really not back in the fold yet after he ran against you for leadership?
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with that.
Oh, that's a whole different other kind of drama that we're experiencing there, which I think we'll talk about at some point soon as well. But he pointed out there, Mitch McConnell, first, it's not our plan, it's Rick Scott's plan. But also, that's the thoughts of the Speaker of the House as well. Why can't Kevin McCarthy speak for himself? He's trying to encapsulate all the leadership to make sure that they don't get engulfed in this devastating truth that continues to surround certain members. Mike Lee was also kicked off some committees, as well as Rick Scott, partially for that fight that they're having. But this is the other fun part, Miranda. I want you to see this. Rick Scott also went on Fox News. I guess he was expecting a different line of questioning because they asked him directly, hey, Mitch McConnell just called your ass out, bro. How is y'all's relationship? It looks pretty uncomfortable. Watch.
Relationship with Senator Mitch McConnell.
I work with all the Republican senators. I work with some of the Democrat senators. I'm going to work hard to represent my state. And I tell everybody, I'm going to represent the state of Florida. That's what I got elected to do. I mean, look, you can vote any way you want. I'm going to vote for the citizens of Florida.
But are you guys cool with each other? Are you talking?
Well, he just kicked me off a committee. I mean, so that was pretty petty.
It's a Commerce Committee. But you're on other committees, right?
I'm on armed services, I'm on home security. But I mean, think about it. I've been on the committee for 4 years. I probably ran the biggest business that anybody's ever served in the Senate. I was governor of the third biggest state in the country, third biggest economy, I think, of the country. And I got kicked off of commerce. But I've got a relationship with Ted Cruz, who's the ranking member. I'll continue to work on all the issues I need to work on commerce.
Okay, so I'm going to say, I consider the relationship right now not cool with each other. Am I right?
I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing my job.
Okay.
Bill, that is a big yes. It's very uncomfortable. It's quite fractured as well. This is what happens, Miranda. You start telling the truth. Go back to what Biden's talking about. You start telling the truth and showing the receipts, and eventually, all the bank robbers in the dark room are gonna have to start turning on each other in order to save their own ass.
Yeah, it's like watching a bad breakup play out on television. That was such uncomfortable questioning, and I love that he talks about how it was petty, and I'm like, you're petty on air right now, being petty about it. But you're right, because it's shining a light on all the bank robbers, and they all have to start scrambling, and it just shows how easy it's been this entire time. If you just expose them for what they're doing, and you give facts, and you point it out, and you're loud about it, they have to start scrambling and picking up the pieces. They're going to start throwing each other under the bus. And that's a really, really great start. And I hope that Biden's really good at giving leftists talking points. And I really hope that he takes more action as well as exposing them and shining a light on what's happening.
Maybe he's recognizing some of the wins he's getting here and he'll continue along that road. It's just the way to go about these types of things. Just call it out. If you have the truth on your side, it's not that hard.